Calling all Lego master builders. It's time to get signed up for the first ever Brickvember Competition. Coming up on episode 138 of the Lovin Lebanon podcast, we get a preview of this event with Lebanon Arts Council President and professional muralist Scott Trafford. Scott shares the fun details of this Lovin Lego event and shares info on the newly launched Lebanon Arts Council and how you can get involved. Episode 138 of the Lovin Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Lovin Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to lovinlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Lovin Lebanon podcast. I'm Joe LePage, the Community Development Director. We're talking all things artistic, and we've also got some Lego expression as well. If you're a Lego fan, you know it's not Legos, it's Lego. The plural of Lego is Lego. And we've got Scott Trafford here. He is the president of the Lebanon Arts Council. Scotty T, thanks for being here on the podcast.
Not a problem. It's my pleasure.
Man, it's so great to have you. And we'll talk about, you're getting ready to go out to Denver, and we'll talk about why here in just a little bit. But we want to get everybody excited about November 11th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., the first ever Brickvember Competition happening on Indianapolis Avenue at Freedom Church. How excited are you guys and the Arts Council to get this thing going?
Yeah, we're very excited, actually. It actually stemmed from our Vice President, Rob Kern's son. Like, he kind of came up with the idea, and Rob just kind of rolled with it. So Rob's really taken the reins on this, and we and Pam Verbarg have really just come behind him as council members and just supported that idea and be like, yeah, I mean, it's a creative outlet. Legos. I mean, lots of us grew up with them. And I mean, I still have a huge tub of Legos today to this point. And and I've shared some, and me and my daughter play with them. And it's always, for me, was a fun creative expression. It's just fun that it is still that today. And it's only gotten bigger and bigger over time. So, and
with the Lego movie, and then my son and I, we still like watching the Lego Master Show. Will Arnett's hilarious. I mean, the whole thing, we geek out about. It's great. But this competition, it sounds like, is not just for the young kids. There are some creatives, like you talked about. You still have Lego at home and still wanting to build, and this is an outlet to do that?
Yeah, all ages. So that was one thing we really wanted to make it possible, was all ages. From, I think we have 3 to 5 years of age with a little bit of parental help. Not parental building, but parental help in that area to have that creative expression start at that young age, all the way up to way more experienced builders that, you know, maybe have a little bit more experience in more complicated builds, even because they do it to this day, or maybe they just want to even re-spark something that they haven't done in a while and it's just been sitting on a shelf. And so that's like really the big inspiration, is to get all ages involved in this from every aspect, because it's fun to be inspired as a 3 to 5 year old to see a 35-year-old building something that you would love to build eventually, because that's what I always looking at. I mean, I wanted to be a Lego master growing up. Oh yeah, like I wanted, like, it's like, oh, I want to get married at Legoland. Like, that'd be great. Like, so I always just loved it all, and just constantly like buying a set, but I wanted 5 pieces from it to build my own thing. Like, sorry, mom and dad.
And is this going to be similar to that? I mean, it's not following the instructions. You're not buying something from off the shelf and doing it. This is all from your head, or the respective builders kind of mind there.
So the kind of theme of this is your favorite place in Lebanon. We thought it'd be a great kickoff, this annual event that we're going to do. So we have several plans for the ones to come if they continue to grow and be successful. This is like your favorite place in Lebanon. We were going to do your favorite building, but like, well, what if someone just likes a park? Yeah. What if someone just likes their house? You know, like, or they love the courthouse, or whatever it is. And so it was like a fun way to just like kick it off, like, as the Lebanon Arts Council, like letting people know we are a organization within Lebanon that supports creativity within Lebanon. So like, why not do favorite place in Lebanon and your favorite thing about Lebanon? So some of those themes are going to roll out within this competition, so different ways to express them, and at different levels. So, and that's something they could even practice at home like no pre-built
Yeah.
stuff. It's all the information is online for builders that want to register, but no pre-built stuff. But you could essentially pick your pieces out at home, practice it. You know, you've got about a month to do so.
So you could assemble,
disassemble,
Okay.
reassemble, pick it apart, see what it looks like. And so, like, even my own daughter, we were talking about, I was like, what's your favorite place in Lebanon? She goes, Culver's. And so she's like, and I already know all the colors. And I'm like, okay, she really does love Culver's. So I was like, we might be building that. But
So how does this work? It's November 11th. The doors are open at 10 a.m. They come in with all their pieces. They're set up in different spots. How does this?
So for
whole thing
builders,
work?
they actually will be there. Builders will be able to start coming in and fill out their registration if they didn't pre-register online. That'll be a packet that they get when they register. They'll get sent an email from the Lebanon Arts Council saying, hey, here's some information you can fill out ahead of time. The doors open for builders at 8:30.
Okay,
To
gotcha.
be able to start that process, unload Legos.
We can watch the zoo animals starting at 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
watch them do their
yeah.
thing.
Everyone
Okay.
else can watch builders come in. The doors open at 10 for the public to kind of view and support their friends and family and watch these creations come to life over a period of time. And, you know, even just meet friends and family. There will be, you know, Oaks on Main will be there. So for a couple hours, providing coffee on a brisk November 11th day, maybe. Who knows? It's Indiana.
Yeah, sure.
But then, we'll have a Brilliance food too. So they'll be able to provide some lunch for people. So that'll be fun. It's another way the L.A.C. just wants to support like small local organizations and just give them an opportunity to exist even within a thing we're doing. So that's a huge goal that the L.A.C. has for any event that we were to host or anybody we partner with, is like, who else can we bring in and support? Because it's just a huge thing we have as our mission and our goal as a council is just, we support Lebanon, we support Boone County in any creative fashion, and that means giving other people an opportunity to be a part of that, whether it's a business or another organization to promote themselves. So,
Everybody, we're talking with Scott Trafford. He is the president of the Lebanon Arts Council, a recently formed nonprofit. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Getting you geared up for the first annual Brickvember Competition, a Lego build competition taking place at Freedom Church on Indianapolis Avenue. And the price is right. It's free to the public.
Free to the public.
Prizes, different age groups and designations
so
and things.
it's, for builder registration, it's $5 with a little bit of taxes. So it's like $7.80 something, I think, after the end. But that's really low end. And that's just a thing the L.A.C. wants for anything we do. Like, we want it to be affordable. I don't want a family of 5 to have to fork out $100 to go to an event when they could spend $100 for an artist. Yeah. So it's like, how do we make this affordable for families? How do we make it also fun for families? And so, the price is something we worked on pretty heavily, because this money, it does come in and it does support the L.A.C., but it also just gets to go back out into the community as a nonprofit. So anything that we would get from donations or ticket sales, like, that's stuff that only fuels things that happen further in Lebanon.
Gotcha.
So that's a huge help, and that's what we'd like to encourage and just inform people on, like, hey, we're not just taking your money and keeping it for ourselves to be like, wow, yeah, but it's like, no, we want to, like, okay, this is what we got. What can we do with it? And what's the next thing we can do? Or what's another artist or some organization we can support as our organization that supports art even. So, the price is right for that and free to the public. So, can't beat that.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of money up front, BYOB, bring your own bricks, and then you're there building, and there are prizes for the winner. And that type of thing.
The prizes are big. We've had several organizations and companies donate money. There's $500 worth of prizes. So for each age group, there's a $100 Lego gift card that they will receive. And we have 5 age brackets for that with a trophy. Then we'll do a runner-up trophy for second place. That's all voting based. So literally when you walk in and you come in, we'll give you 5 tickets of each color for each age bracket to encourage voting, because we want everyone to feel like, hey, someone enjoyed what I did, whether it's 1 vote or 50 votes. But then you can purchase tickets. You can purchase 5 for $1. So even low on that end to just encourage that voting. So if you have your son, your daughter, your nephew, your cousins, whatever, your best friends voting something, like, it's an affordable way to be like, hey, like, I'm going to encourage you. And that way, even if whether you don't win and the voting goes off the wall, and somebody gets 100, 200, and other people get, 50, 90, like it's like, man, still a lot of people voted for me. So that's still a good feeling to have as a builder, to feel like, like, oh, I only got one. It's like, no, like it's going to be heavily encouraged. Yeah. So yeah.
Excellent. And you talked about this briefly, and some folks may be listening right now and aren't exactly sure that there was a Lebanon Arts Council and hadn't heard a whole lot about it. This is the kickoff for the nonprofit to get things rolling. You guys have been working behind the scenes, kind of laying a foundation with this organization. You talked about putting the money back into the community, but the formation of the Arts Council, what are you hoping happens not only as a result of the Lego competition, the Brickvember competition, but long term? What are you guys hoping that happens with the L.A.C. within our Lebanon community?
A lot of the people that are involved in this and that have come to meetings, and just all the creators that exist within Lebanon, we've seen a boom and an uptick in things creative from, small businesses and, that are doing things on the side and coming out to farmers markets and at events that are being hosted by the city or other organizations, and seeing that there's a need, and we want to give them a place and not feel so like doing it on my own, and like give them a legit arts organization that backs them and supports them and can vouch for them and be a liaison for them when it comes to governmental things, city things, and organizations, and be like, hey, how do we help you? And so that is the huge goal for the L.A.C. when it comes to supporting local creators and artists, on top of just encouraging that growth and being a voice for the growth of art in Lebanon. There's an uptick with just public art and what that does, and not even just Lebanon, but in the nation in general. It's now seeping outside of major cities like New York and Chicago and Denver and California. Like, it's spreading into smaller, more rural towns, even within our own state. And what it's doing for real estate and the health and joy in a city, is really good. So just encouraging those kind of events, classes, public art events and parties, whatever, whatever creative realm or outlet that exists, we want people to be able to come through us to be like, hey, how do I make this happen? Hey, what does it require? Hey, can you help me? And we're going to be like, yes. It's just going to be a pretty simple yes. Obviously, it's more logistical things involved, but it's going to be a pretty simple yes from a lot of our council members and people on the team. It's growing slowly as a team, but I think the more people hear about it and know about it and want to come alongside of it, whether it's just supporting it financially as a sponsor, or when memberships open up in November, you can get a membership with the L.A.C., which has lots of fun offers for when it comes to classes that are being hosted by the L.A.C., and that'll be fun, to get some free classes, and whether you're doing it for yourself or to reignite your creative inner child, or give it as a gift, whatever. It's a pretty simple and affordable. Again, we wanted to be affordable. So we looked at lots of different arts councils and their prices and based our price off that. But we also considered our community's income, and, we wanted that to be a huge part of that. It's easy to consider other people's and not consider your own and be like, oh, that's a great price. And be like, well, is that a great price for us? So a lot of consideration in that background that you talked about. We've been real patient with this, because I wanted it to be the best it could possibly be when we did launch. And we did say, hey, public, we're here. What can we do for you? So now we're here.
And there have been a number of things that have happened within our community. Mural, the creation days, and Scott's. You can see Scott's work throughout our community on a couple of different murals, and even maybe a couple more coming up in the not too distant future. But were you surprised at how many creatives are in our community? Various different mediums, various different creative avenues. Was it surprising to you?
Yeah, and that's a thing that even before the L.A.C. started, that I've tried to keep my thumb on. As a local creative, as someone born and raised in Lebanon, and just always saw the potential for creativity and arts and culture in Lebanon, and the importance that it might play, because it hasn't really been here for a long time, or maybe even heavily supported like it should have been. But I think with the uptick and the rise of it in other cities and seeing the success of it, it's a nice model to kind of, springboard off of. And so, yeah, just keeping a tab on that, whether it's at an event or, there's a market, and be like, look at what that person's doing, or hearing of other people in other towns, or seeing a post on Lebanon Chatter or any social media of a friend of a friend sharing something. I'm like, they're everywhere. Yeah. They just are doing it alone, or they maybe have 2 or 3 people that kind of support them that are also doing it. It's like, but they don't know who else might be doing. I've heard multiple conversations that I've been a part of where people are like, I thought I was the only one that did this here. And it's like, oh, someone else does something similar to what I do. And it's like, yeah, once you start doing it, once you start coming out, and you have essentially a hub or a home is what we would like to consider the L.A.C. for all forms of artists and creatives, whether it's from photography to fine arts to woodworking, sculpting. We want this to be a place where they can be found, they can be supported, and make money. Because that's not bad either. To try to achieve that dream as someone who did that 2 years ago, just took the leap of doing corporate jobs and corporate work for 2.5 years and then saying, hey, what would it look like if we did the thing, and so it's sometimes a pinch me, is this real, and is it hard? Yeah, but is it great? Would I trade it for anything? No. And that's what I want for other people to experience. Who knows what's on the other side of that fence if you just get in the right community and have someone behind you that has some real, backing.
Everybody, we're talking with Scott Trafford. Scotty T is the president of the Lebanon Arts Council. He's also a professional muralist, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. Brief side note, again, we're fully transparent on the podcast. You may hear some rustling, some kind of sound like a plane was taking off in the background. There's some renovations taking place on the second floor of the building up in the planning office. I'm going to try to go into the podcast and kind of cut out some of those outside noises, but if they're there, don't worry. It's not. This is an earthquake zone that we're talking in here. Just some moving and shaking going on upstairs to help serve our community a bit better. So there you go. But you mentioned it, Scott. A couple years ago, you were on this podcast. This isn't your first rodeo, and it was right when you were taking that leap of faith. You'd done a couple murals here, or maybe one, and starting on a second one, and you took that leap of faith to be a professional muralist and do that full time.
Yeah.
Is the buzz still there artistically? You talked about kind of the periphery of New York's, Chicago's, that types of thing. You're heading out to Denver here in a not too distant future here.
Tomorrow.
11 days. to go out there and do some mural work. Is the buzz still there?
Yeah. I definitely think it is, and it's, like I mentioned earlier, it's really upticking. Just when business owners talk to their business owners have had it done, and not even just for me, other people. There's another amazing artist, Anita Gordon. She's had the opportunity to, work with the city to do murals, but that's also created another form of revenue, which is what we hope for. I don't want it to just be me. If I had to pave the way, then so be it. Whatever that takes for other artists to just have an ease and an understanding, or someone who's been hey, you've done this. Me and Anita met multiple times. I know she met with you to kind of discuss this process because we've learned it. We've tried by fire sometimes, and starting the governmental aspect of it and how that money works, and kind of learning the red tapes and the process. And so to be able to sit down and talk to someone like that and be hey, this will make this easier. Let me tell you how to do this. And the relief that comes in their face, be oh wow, and then they I'm yeah, you should do this and this and this, or and charge this. They're what?
That's real money.
That's money. And so it's that's fun because I'm your art's worth something. Don't undersell yourself. So when it comes to Lebanon, it's definitely happened. The conversation is buzzing, and whatever I can do, the L.A.C. can do, any other artist can do to kind of insert themselves in that and kind of have their thumb on the pulse. Be hey, can we have a conversation about this? What would this look like? How would we make this happen? I know the Heart of Lebanon's done that. Missy's been involved in some of those conversations and processes too. So it's even fun to see some of that leak into now our downtown area. So the conversation is just going to continue to happen as long as we push the envelope on it and say, hey, this is good for our city's health even, and it just, and with all the new families coming in, these young families, and knowing what a lot of those younger generations are into and they look for in a city, public art's up there. In Indiana, it's the 4th highest grossing thing.
And why? I mean, looking at the research, when we did these things, you and I collaborated on some of these. It was the increase in quality of life. You're increasing injection of art and color. It is a celebration of diverse people, and they think that kind of fits me too, and then it fits other people, and it increases their quality of life. Is that something you're seeing as a result of this whole artistic expression movement that is continuing? You still seeing those trends?
Absolutely. People who talk about it, or clients of mine, or other people who get to either hear that it's going to happen or get to see it happening, they talk about it. And So it's like, oh, the plans to do like Mount's Flowers, and she's talked to all of her customers, and they're like, hey, when's it gonna happen? Like, that's exciting. Like, it builds a buzz, and it's no longer just art on a wall. Like, it creates revenue. Yeah. Because what it is, when you have a walking issue, you create something to walk to. And then you're within footsteps of a storefront, a restaurant. And so that affects, your community with money. Yeah. Like, there's no hard numbers really around it, because it's just really started to pick up when I followed tons of mural festivals that happen all over the nation, and they show all the things and all the buzz and all the people that come out to those things. I'm like, those are people engaging with the art, engaging with artists, engaging with your restaurants, engaging with your storefronts. Like, that is so beneficial. And that's just on an economical standpoint beneficial. I know that's like a lot of people like, man, it costs so much money to do this, but what's it worth in the end? I'm like, well, then you get into not only the economical, you get into the quality of life. Like, people enjoy that. Like, I tell people all the time, like, why do you hang up art in your house? Why did you wear the clothes you wore today? Because you like it. Like, people most of the time can't explain why they truly like art. They just know there's something in them that it's like, yeah, I just like it. Like, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it's nice. It feels good to look at, like, or stand in front of, or engage with. And so to kind of have that happen more and more and more, I think it will bring a little bit more joy, and that doesn't hurt anybody. The art's not hurting anybody, and we're not trying to discount any historical buildings or, get rid of history, but history has always just been added to. Like, yeah, Lebanon 100 years ago isn't the Lebanon today, and it won't be the Lebanon 100 years from now. And change is progress, and there are ups and downs, there's learning curves, and I want art to be a part of that. I want art to be a part of Lebanon's history. On top of the great history that exists, why can't we have both? Because they're both good things, and the foundation of Lebanon can always just be built upon. And that's happening in small towns like Rensselaer, Indiana, where one of my friends hosts a mural festival, and they have 25 murals out there. Small town, like in the middle of nowhere. World-renowned artists from Argentina, like Germany, like all over the world, coming to paint in this place.
And it saved the town. I mean,
when
St. Joseph's College shut down, they were on life support. Yeah.
Stores and restaurants come there, and now it's bleeding into small towns like Remington that are even smaller than Rensselaer. And like, so to see that boom outside of even small towns, because it's easy to do it in the Bloomingtons, the Indianapolises, the Hamilton County area and places like that. But like, why can't Lebanon be a part of that? Yeah. Why can't we be a part of the growth and the boom?
Yeah. Great point. Scott, I'll get you out of here with this, a reminder that the first ever, and now will be the first annual Brickvember competition coming up on November 11th. Last day to register, you were saying, is the 7th of November. So everyone mark your calendars. Get it in by the
11:59 p.m.
There we go. The event will take place from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. If you were listening in the podcast, the doors were open for those master builders earlier in the day. Location will be Freedom Church. That's along Indianapolis Avenue. Free to the public to attend. You got to pay a nominal fee to get your blocks in the door, so to speak, and take part in that event. But Scott, if people are intrigued by this podcast and they want to learn more about the Arts Council, what's the best place to stalk and find out? And there's a QR code if you want to get signed up for the Brickvember competition. You can get all that info. If they want to learn more about L.A.C. and kind of what's coming down the pike, what is the best place to do that?
So there's probably some posters floating around that our president, Rob Kern, has put around just with organizations and around town that will have information for the public and registrants. So there's a QR code that can be scanned. You can also find us at the Lebanon Arts Council on Facebook, where that information is being shared for builders to be registered, and all that information on top of public, to not get confused of like, I don't want people to pay and then thinking, because it's a free event, right? It's free. Right. So if you're paying, you're I hope you plan on building. And if not, like, we'll adjust from there. But that's the main locations. So that's just being shared on social media. So you might see it floating around on your friends' Facebooks as it gets shared around, and through things like this podcast where the links will be kind of displayed. And so there's an Eventbrite link that can also be clicked outside of the QR code, but the QR code does take you to the Eventbrite location for registers for the builders once again. builders, register.
Gotcha.
Everyone else, just show up.
Just show up. Just show up. Get some coffee. Get some food. Place your votes, and see some good builders doing some great things.
Yeah.
Scott, appreciate you being on the podcast again. Thanks for all the info and the insight.
Absolutely.
And the work you do for our community. And thank you for listening. Yeah, I'm glad, and I'm excited too. I can't wait to see how many people.
Lots of great things are going to come. There's just a lot of stuff happening in the background that people don't know, and it's just going to start pouring out, and they're going to be like, what is this? It's like, this is us.
And the ball is rolling. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Lovin Lebanon podcast. More episodes are coming your way soon. Take care.